Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about our third game in our spin-off video game category. Today is Star Fox Adventures. All right, Tom, why don't you start off with initial thoughts this week?
Sure. I I played this game on GameCube when it came out many years ago. I was like, so we're gonna get it out of the way early today, but so I I was really into Star Fox because Fox was my main in Super Smash Bros. Melee. So so that made me want to play this game, and I didn't really recall too much about the experience. I recall the basic premise and that you're, on foot for most of the game playing with your dinosaur sidekick. But I didn't really recall how I felt about the game. So it was interesting to revisit it many years later, which led us to this moment where I will say how I felt about it.
But not right at this moment.
Not at this exact moment, but in the coming moments.
All right, Pete, what about you?
So, unlike Tom, I had never played Star Fox Adventures before. So, if you like games that kind of have large worlds with kind of like a central hub, then you'd probably like this game. And if you like traversing these large worlds, doing some stuff, and then when you're done with that stuff, having to traverse the whole way back to the hub, and then later in the game, return to that really far away place again and do it all over again, then you're going to love this game. All right, so, hold on. So, like, the game reminded me, and it's, it was made by Rare, so it reminded me of Conker's Bad Fur Day, like, playing it. In some regards, it's obviously very different. But Star Fox Adventure, it feels like a more sophisticated, less fun version of Conker.
All right, and that's the episode. No, I'll just say I get what Pete's saying about the traversing and like the main hub area. I had never played this before either. I have very mixed feelings about this because it is kind of a cool, ambitious game. It has some really cool parts, and I actually kind of prefer a game like this over the traditional Star Fox games where you're flying the whole time. But there were definitely parts that I wish weren't there or could have been made easier to make the whole experience good. And we'll get into that in this episode. Star Fox Adventures was developed by Rare, as previously mentioned, and published by Nintendo. It was released in North America for the GameCube on September 23rd, 2002. And for those that don't know, Brothers in Boss Battles, a video game showdown, is our podcast here, where me, Anthony, and my brothers Pete and Tom talk about video games, new and old. We talk about those games and their story, lore, effect on the gaming world, and more. The way the show works is like this. We each pick a video game that fits within a genre or category. For the first 3 episodes of that genre grouping, we talk about that one of those video games and all of the things I just mentioned. In the 4th episode of that grouping is our Bro Down episode, where we have a courtroom-style debate, each of us defending the game that we chose while attacking the other 2 and ultimately declaring a winner. All right, some more Star Fox. I think some interesting points were made in those initial thoughts there. And, one of my biggest problems, I think, is kind of what you were getting at, Pete, with the hub and having to beat a level, then go basically backwards through the whole level to get to the hub again, to go to another part that you had to go to, and then traverse that whole level, do what you had to do, and then traverse back. So that was very annoying. I still don't think it was. I mean, it could just be the, being on GameCube as opposed to being on Super Nintendo. But it's way better to me than Conquer, and way better than Banjo Kazooie as far as that like
As far as
central
what?
hub. Well, as far as the like central hub existing and traversing it, I think
I don't know. I don't want to make this a hour and a half of comparing it to Conker's Bad Fur
no,
Day,
I
but
know, but
like in that game, I mean, it's a smaller game first of all, but in that game, the central like you kind of went to the part, the other level or whatever we're calling it, did what you had to do, and then it wasn't that far, and it wasn't that confusing to get back to the hub. So like with Star Fox, it wasn't just like long distances, but it was very confusing sometimes to backtrack
yeah.
how to get
Yeah,
back. And then you would
the
go to the same world a couple of times in some instances.
the part
So
that
that was
was
also very strange.
the part that was I think made it a little bit more annoying was that they were like linear. Some of the parts, like it wasn't just all these different ones branching off from like a main hub. Like if you had sometimes you had to go to a location that was through a different location that you had no
Yeah.
business being in.
Right, right. Yes,
That
Right.
was
yes.
Yeah.
too
Like,
deep or whatever, two or three deep.
yeah, you
Yeah,
had to
I
go
really
like
think that
go ahead.
I was just say I really think that this game could have benefited from a fast travel system.
Yes. I think it would have been very good with a fast travel system, to be honest. But like once you get to it, the first place, because it was just annoying. Because and you're right, like sometimes you would go through like it was like Cape Claw, and then that would bring you to another thing, and then you'd have to
Yeah,
go back through that level, and then Cape Claw, and then back to Thorntail Hollow at the which is the
yeah.
main hub.
And
So
sometimes I forgot like what the names of the places were. So
yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like, you have to go to this place, and I'm like, okay, which one was that again?
But what's interesting and what's a positive, I think, for the game is that so you play just as Fox, and let's just do our well, that's not true, but let's do a spoiler alert now. There is a fairly robust story here, and some cool parts. So if you want to play it, it's really only available for GameCube. So, but if you want to go out and try to get it and get it, and then listen to us, go ahead and do that. But here is your spoiler warning. What I was gonna say is that, um, oh no, I forgot my point. What
At
were we
least you got the
talking?
spoiler warning in though.
No, yeah. Wait, what were we talking
I like you
about?
said that you just play as Star or you just play
Oh
as
yes,
Fox. Oh,
That's what I was gonna say. So it's you mentioned someone had the point about it. It's confusing, but you just play as Fox, but your fellow Star Fox crew members are there, like Peppy Hare and Skippy Toad, and
S- Slippy Toad.
Slippy Toad. I think I made these same mistakes in Star Fox 64 review, but anyway, the go back and check out that episode. So what's cool about Slippy is that he gives you advice. Like you can go on your communicator and he'll like kind of direct you where to go, which isn't always so clear, but then Peppy has the map that you can take a look at too, and it kind of like will tell you at least generally like you're in a spot and the place you have to go to is north, so you got to go up. You got to kind of like go in that direction. So like it's not. I like that fact because you don't have to run to a online guide or something every time. Like you could really just spend a little bit of time and you could kind of figure out what to do without any additional aids.
yeah. I thought the hints that Slippy gave were 90% of the time were very good.
Yeah, yeah, they were helpful too. It wasn't just like go to this place.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I thought that was a cool feature of the game.
Yeah, so going back to the traversing, the second problem with that, not that it was just maybe a little confusing and just laborious, was that there was no real benefit to doing that because there was no like experience to gain by defeating
Yeah.
enemies to grow levels, and even all the things you could kind of find and collect, like the currency and this what do they call them, spore bombs or whatever, all those types of things. They were so plentiful.
Yeah.
Like you could just spend 5-10 minutes like just farming them and you have them.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that you really couldn't farm, but I guess you could buy it in the store were the fuel cells for the R-Wing to be able to travel to other planets that you had to go to.
Yeah, well those were located in more little more cleverly hidden or
Yeah.
tricky to find places. Yeah.
Yeah, and you would one of your devices would like kind of be like almost like a metal detector for those things and point you where to go, just because they were
Yeah.
trickier and you didn't need them.
I want to make the point about the item the items in the game, where it really felt like busy work to me. Like even with the currency, like the scarabs, because they constantly respawned, like when you exited and entered new areas. So it's
Yeah.
just like everything in the store was essentially free if you just you know
Yeah,
went back and forth and found the scarabs under the rocks or in the little pots or whatever. So like it I don't know. And then even like using the energy in your staff,
Yeah.
it was just like what they should just made it unlimited energy because
yeah.
it was
Yeah, there were
you
times though when if you like, because aiming wasn't always the easiest, and you'd like waste it, and then you'd have to go climb a thing to go get a crystal or a gem.
Yeah. I guess it motivated you to try to be a little more resourceful so you didn't have to waste the two
Yeah,
minutes to
yeah,
climb. And the
I guess
climbing was very slow in this game.
yeah.
yeah. I like when you could slide down the
Yeah.
ladders. That
Thank
was
God.
good, but yeah. Sometimes, like if I had a lot of energy, I would just jump off a thing and like take the damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even like when you have to feed Tricky the mushrooms,
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
it
plentiful.
yeah, it's
And
just like and anytime you needed to use it, there were mushrooms there.
yeah. But that's the problem. There was a lot of times where you just you needed it. So
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't want to create a situation where you got stuck.
But
And
that's my point.
Yeah.
Is like they should have just not even had that mechanic to feed him. He should have just
It's
if
just
he
a
was
they yeah, it was
like there was just no point to it. Like it didn't
yeah,
add
I think
anything
it's
to the game.
artificially making it look more sophisticated of a game than
yeah.
it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
just like a setup of the story, it's you start off as a new character, Crystal, who is like a female fox character, and she is investigating this like distress call, I guess, from this dinosaur planet in the Lilat system, and winds up getting captured. And then it switches over to Fox, and you play most of the rest of the game as him, or I guess all the rest of the game. Um, I thought that was a cool setup, though. It was very cinematic at the beginning. Like I think they did a good job with that throughout the whole game, but particularly at the beginning and the stuff with Crystal.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because it's like, oh, who is this character? You
Yeah,
expect it to be Fox.
Yeah, and you basically start out on like it's almost like a boss sequence. You're with like that
yeah,
dragon and you're shooting at the
Yeah.
hmm
ship or whatever. That was that's cool.
it was. And then we mentioned Slippy and Pepper, so like they're there in your crew and they're helping
Pepper.
out.
Well,
Peppy. Well, Pepper is
Pepper.
there. It's General Pepper for some reason,
Oh,
and Peppy Hair. I don't know. They couldn't think of another. They couldn't name him General Salt or something. Like I don't. But
I don't know. Do you know two people named Mike?
yeah, I fine.
That's the
But
way it is.
anyway, so that's kind of like your crew, along with Rob 64, the robot. Conspicuous by his absence, though, is Falco. Wonder if we'll see him at any point in this game.
No, no, he won't.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah. So anyway, you get this. Crystal has this staff, and then that gets dropped off in this dinosaur planet that you go to, because then you are investigating this goings-ons there, and it's basically like I don't know, Fox's Han Solo. Like he's doing it for the money at first, and then he gets really involved, and
Yeah, I guess the Star Fox team is kind of hired as mercenaries to solve
yeah,
problems throughout the Lilat system.
right. So that's the setup. But obviously it becomes a bigger story than that, and it's cool because you're not really shooting things in a sense. You get this staff that was crystals, and Fox uses that, and it has a bunch of powers to it too. So it has like almost like an RPG-ish element in the sense that it could freeze things. You can get, an ability where it shoots fireballs, one where it lets you like javelin yourself really far, and a bunch of other moves. So it becomes a kind of all-purpose weapon, which and it's pretty cool. The
The The
Yeah.
powers for the staff were cool, but I gotta say the normal combat with the staff was kind of lame.
Yeah, it's the combat in the game really isn't difficult.
No,
No, not
like
at
it really
all.
should have had more depth to it because it was like it was essentially just blocking
Yeah.
and then swinging it.
Yeah.
And like you
And
don't
you
even have
would
to move it in different directions or anything. Like there's no like
yeah, it was very difficult to die just fighting enemies in this game.
yeah.
Yeah, I had noted that too, that the combat was lame. And it almost felt again like more busy work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's a video game. We can't not have these regular bad guys that you have to
Yeah.
kill. So we're gonna throw them in there.
Yeah. And there's not really bosses until the end.
There are a few bosses. I mean, for such a long game, there's not that many.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a few.
I actually thought the bosses were
They were unique.
one of the highlights of the game. And so the first, I think it's the first boss. This is the one where I was really like reminded of Conquer was when it's like, what is it, like the T-Rex? It's like a dinosaur type thing. I don't know what it is, but then he eats you and you have to
Yeah.
like hit the, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think like the soul stone is
Some
inside
organ or
of
something.
his
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like is attached to one of his like yeah.
Yeah. And then he regurgitates you and then,
Mm.
yeah, eats you again. So
There
that, I
was
mean, that wasn't
yeah.
that hard. It was an okay
There
fight.
was like a boss sequence in that snow level that I remember being tough, where I think you're kind of trying to protect that mammoth that is in that hole.
Yeah, I don't know if I would classify that as a boss, but I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, no, me either. It was really tough. But they kept coming, like they
Yeah,
just kept coming because it's like I wasn't doing what you were supposed to do.
yeah. I
I
actually had so there was a few parts that I actually had to look up, and that was one of them.
think I
You
just
had to hit the
figured it out.
tree, and something fell out of the tree, and rolled to the ground walker, and then I guess that
Oh,
gave him strength or something. I don't know, but it was a little stupid.
yeah. What's interesting, it's like how they kind of fit this game within a dinosaur world because that kind of just seems random for a Star Fox game, but apparently this was supposed to be like a completely separate game and where like that wasn't going to include Star Fox and it was just like this dinosaur planet that was being overtaken by this like General Scales like enemy, and that's like the seemingly main bad guy in the game, where he's just sort of like this, dictator, and he's just taking over the this dinosaur planet and like destroying it, like taking the spirits and the gems out and all of that. So the but then they added Star Fox to it, and essentially, from what I understand, made it a similar game and just kind of had this more marquee name to market it to people.
They probably made the game. It was like, no one's gonna like this, so let's slap Star Fox on there.
Yeah, it could be.
It was called Dinosaur Planet, right?
Yeah,
Or it was
yeah,
going to be called Dinosaur
yeah,
Planet.
Yeah, I think there, if you're the curious type, there are images of the original version of the game that you can view online.
But it's interesting that you bring that up because one of the key things that kind of reminded you of true Star Fox was, that those R-wing sequences when you were traveling between planets. I guess they were, right?
yeah. That was the other thing, and I do want to get to the arc wings because that was very Star Fox. Like then, it seemed like such a minor part and just kind of like thrown in there to like be part of it, but
Yeah, I agree. It was just thrown in
yeah,
there.
Yeah,
Wasn't
definitely.
particularly
yeah. You
fun.
you essentially had to traverse this kind of short space part and then make sure you got within the proper number of golden rings, and that it kind of increased as the levels went on. So that was relatively easy, except for like the last one. I think it's when you go to the walled city for the first time. You have to get through like every ring, every gold ring, and like that took me a few tries just to get all of the like curves you have to hit and yeah, all that.
Yeah, a few of them took me a couple of tries, so it's not to say it was like just rudimentary, but it, like you said, it felt like it was forced in there. And like
Yeah.
I said, it wasn't particularly fun.
Yeah. Um,
They did have, though, in those sequences, they kept track of your score,
mhm.
which was kind of like Star Fox 64, like kind of like a throwback to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
That was the thing that was confusing to me. It's like some levels you got to from like Thorntail Hollow as the main hub, and other ones you had to fly to. So like I just that was kind of confusing me for a lot of the game. I don't know why. I mean, but
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess it
like
doesn't
one,
really.
yeah, like one was like, the dinosaur planet was like Earth, and you can go to Canada or China or California, but and then okay, I want to go to Mars now though, and so I'm
Right.
gonna do that. So like I guess it makes sense, but I just in the context of the game, I didn't really think of it as much.
Yeah, but whenever you had to use the R wing to get there, there was always a hint. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like you were told to go to the R wing or like
yeah.
make sure you have fuel cells or
Yeah.
Hmm.
something.
I want to talk a little bit about the sound. I thought the sound was really good in this game, but what I found, and there was voice acting, and while the acting wasn't great, it wasn't always incredibly corny, and I thought the voices came through well, and all of that. Most of the main characters had voice acting.
I like the warp stone. It reminded me of
Well,
Shrek.
yeah, well, I thought the Warp Stone. There was a lot of like Scottish sounding
Yeah.
accents in this game for some reason. So I was actually thinking of, and I know it's a clean podcast, but this is his name, Fat Bastard from the Austin
Austin
Powers.
Powers.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I.
I mean, that's essentially what Shrek sounds like because
Yeah, but
same actor, but
true. So I mean but like more like lots of cat like
yeah, some of the dinosaurs too
some of
are
the
like,
dinosaurs all had these random Scottish accents. So
yeah, I think, yeah, I'm almost certain that Rare is a United Kingdom based company,
oh, I
so
think you're right. Yeah, so that makes sense then. Yeah, that's a little. Yeah.
I mean,
Anyway,
that may or may not be the reason for the
yeah, yeah.
Scottish accents, but
But anyway, it's like
It was just a choice by the director.
yeah, the Warp Stone was kind of cool, but I thought he was going to play a bigger part. It's like he goes to like two places.
Yeah. So did anybody do that maze thing?
I didn't. No, that was the third place he would bring you to,
Yeah.
but you didn't need to do that for the game.
Yeah, I didn't. I think that had something to do with those cheat tokens they called, which I also didn't collect any of them.
Oh yeah,
And then yeah, I don't know.
in
yeah,
the shop.
that's another problem I had with the game is that there was no, to my knowledge, there was no side quests, which is something that you would expect in a game like this. Like, kind of open world-ish and
Yeah, like Zelda-ish.
yeah, yeah. Like so and I understand the reason for that because there was nothing that they would be able to give you as a reward
For
for
doing
doing the
said size quest.
side quest because
Yeah,
everything was just always constantly available to you.
Yeah. And
I
none of the
thought
enemies
I
were
thought
that hard, so it's like it's not like you would want to power up something or get a special item that
Yeah,
would
like you
really
didn't
help
need
you.
a stronger staff or anything, like
Well, I mean, the thing is, the upgrades for the staff were kind of required for you to get,
yeah,
so they
yeah, yeah,
really
that's what I
weren't.
mean. So like
Yeah,
they
so
couldn't offer another, but even if it was just like when you swing it, it does more damage or something like that.
yeah, it wouldn't have
That
mattered.
wouldn't, yeah, that wouldn't have mattered
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, the upgrades they give you are necessary to traverse the level, so like they made it part of the game, like part of the story or part of the gameplay to get them.
Yeah. So I think that was a missed opportunity.
I thought there was something like one thing that I encountered that I didn't do. I'm trying to remember. I think it was in is it called Lightfoot Village? That part where there was like the water and like the tree houses almost.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
kind of after I was done with that part, there was I think it was like the mother like was couldn't find her children or something. if I'm not remembering. Anyway, I didn't do it, so
Oh yeah, I think you're right. I don't think you have to do that. But what's interesting is that like, and I guess it's just the main story, but my save file like right before the last boss is at 99%. I'm assuming you beat the boss at 100%, but that may only be calculating the story.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. But yeah, yeah.
Oh,
You sure you didn't have to beat that part, Pete, as part of the story?
I didn't think
there,
I did.
that was like after you do the strength test and the
Yes,
one where you have to light the.
yes,
Yeah.
it was after that, but in that same area.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not recalling that, but I mean, there was something. Um, where like the mother, it was like the pterodactyl one, and you had to save her children from the sharp claw. That's not what you're talking about, right?
No.
Okay.
So kind of a
So I'm
cool.
just looking up now. It reveals if you do that thing, it reveals like a boost pad that where a token well, which we were just mentioning, is located. So
Do you know what the cheat tokens did? I got to with them, but I didn't really know how to use them.
I think you had to use them in the maze.
Ah,
Right, that's what you were saying. That's why, yeah. I bought one cheat token once just because I thought it would be something cool, and it's like, yeah, it really was nothing.
and then what was the reward for doing the maze? Do you happen to know that?
I don't happen to know that. It was such a long game that wasn't particularly fun. So it was hard to do extra things for me
So
anyway.
we should know this because we are reviewing it, but according to the AI overview, completing the game well maze in Star Fox Adventures unlocks special cheats such as sepia mode and a sound test menu.
Oh, okay. So that kind of stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, if you're like a completionist,
yeah.
I get it, wanting to see that stuff, but
Anyway,
So
so go ahead.
no, I was going to change topic. So if you have a different topic, it's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna, yeah, but we might have two new topics now. But I was gonna talk about how I thought it was both cool and confusing that you're kind of part of the adventure is first finding the spell stones, but then finding the spirits, the Krazoa spirits to unlock. So it was kind of like almost in not to go back, but Banjo Kazooie, where you had to find like the piece that would give you the puzzle piece and then find the puzzle piece itself. Like, remember that? It was like so
Like, wasn't it? You had to find the puzzle. Yeah, you had to find the puzzle to put the piece in, and then that revealed like a door or that
yeah,
you had to also find that
yeah,
wasn't over there for some
yeah.
reason.
yeah. So so yeah, you find the spell stones which help you unlock things throughout the level. And then there's these Krazoa spirits, and that's what's kind of General Scales, or really who become the person that becomes, or the entity that becomes the main bad guy, which we'll talk about later, um, kind of broke the planet apart, and that by taking the spell stones and the Krazoa spirits, well, taking the spell stones, and then I think you have to find the Krazoa spirits along with the spell stones to put everything back together. And then the Krazoa spirits, that was kind of a cool concept because what they do is they're all like different quote unquote tests. So there's like test of strength and test of knowledge and tense test of other things. And you're not like they're kind of almost like boss sequences, but they're not like in a traditional sense where you have to jump on its head 3 times and win.
One of them was Test of Fear, right? Is that what it was called?
Yes, that was one of the what I call the impossible parts of the game.
It was
It was,
annoying for sure.
yeah, it was kind of hard and dumb. You had to kind of keep your cursor in the middle of a bar, and then it would kind of sway left and right at varying speeds as
Depending on
things
how
tried to
scared.
scare you. Yeah,
Yeah. That was unique. I mean,
yeah.
it is cooler than just having to jump on something's head 3 times,
Yeah.
but it was very tough. I don't know if it was just the programming of the time or the GameCube controller. Not that the controller itself is bad, but just that like controls weren't as tight back then. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Good,
mean,
you
maybe,
complained about the controls.
It's a requirement when we play any system other than PS5.
Yeah. You know, it was annoying trying to talk to that spirit head thing to activate those
Yeah,
tests.
for some reason I would like keep hitting it and then it would go away and
It would
you'd
turn
have to
around, like spin
yeah.
around. It was so
Yes, that happened to me
stupid.
so many times.
I still don't get really what the mechanic there was, like what you were supposed to do. I would just kind of run around it and keep pressing A until it worked.
So can we try to remember all of the tests? There's a test of fear we're talking about. One of the last ones is tests of knowledge, which was a very annoying one because like
I
I,
hated that one.
I don't know how the heck you could realize you basically had to put an artifact in like this portal that in the background kind of looked like a particular level, but like that was really hard to distinguish what it was. And then the artifact itself was like, what does this have to do
yeah.
with anything?
Yeah.
The
Some
only
of
thing,
them were really hard to identify what it
yeah,
One of
was.
them was like a square block or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that about that made it possible without looking up was that it would lock in when you got it in the right spot and it
Yeah.
wouldn't change. So you may have to play through it, three, four, five, six times, but you would get it eventually. It's almost like a matching game that you play, as
Yeah.
a kid or whatever, like with cards or something. So it
Yeah,
wasn't
it was a
like,
little harder than that because it
I
was very hard
guess,
to distinguish what level was represented in those portals. And then, sometimes you would kind of get turned around.
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't
It
know.
took me more than a couple of tries, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I think I got it on my third try. There was the test of strength too, where you just mash the button.
Yeah.
oh,
There was a Crozoa one,
yeah,
and
and
then
then
also in the village against
yeah,
the Lightfoot or whatever it was.
right, yep,
It
yep,
was the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, those were the easiest.
Yeah.
yeah. Though you couldn't mash it too fast. Like, no, seriously. They like, especially the one in the village
There's
against the Lightfoot or
controls.
whatever. It's like you had to kind of do it steadily, but not too fast. Then what were the other ones? So there was fear, strength, and knowledge.
I feel like there's probably one with like
There was a test of combat, was there? Where there was just
oh
basically
yeah.
those sharp
Yeah,
claws that you had to beat.
yeah, that was that. And then there was test of observation, which I think was the one when you're crystal at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which is just kind of like moving things around like in a pattern, right?
I think so. I'm having a hard time remembering what that one was.
Yeah, I mean that was early on, and they kind of wanted you to burn through that crystal section, so I don't think it was that difficult.
No, no, no. It was easy. Yeah, so those were
It was a
added
cool,
some uniqueness to
yeah,
them.
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of like that concept, and because you were kind of dealing with these ancient spirits, so having these tests, was sort of fitting in that scenario. So that I thought was a pretty cool feature of the game.
I feel like we're pooping on the game a little bit and saying all
Yeah,
the things that it doesn't do well. But there are kind of a lot of puzzles, things to figure out. I feel like
Hmm.
that was a main part of the game. And a lot of them were good, I guess. Or some of them were.
Yeah, it was
Do-
definitely more of an adventure game than an action game.
yeah.
It's funny you say that because as I was playing it, I was expecting there to be more action and less adventure, but then I guess it would have been called Star Fox Action.
That would have been a better name.
Actions.
Actions.
No, I kind of like. This is similar to Mega Man Legends in the sense that they took like a non-adventure game and made it into very much an adventure game. There's a little bit more action in that, and we'll do comparisons on our Bro Down episode. But you know, this is a kind of a quintessential adventure game, and I think they set out to do it, or at least set out to put Star Fox into this Dinosaur Planet game, and then I don't know. I think it worked well. Like it is somewhat enjoyable to play.
I had a pretty good amount of fun playing the game, honestly.
Yeah, Tom, do you remember how? So you don't really remember much about playing it when you were younger? Because I've never played this before. This is my first time ever playing it.
Yeah, I mean, not that much. in terms of like specifics.
Do you remember beating it in the past?
I'm not sure actually.
I feel like you probably beat it.
I think I probably did back then.
Hmm.
I kind of like if I had the game, I played it until it was done.
Yeah. I just feel like that it was quite an adventure because it wasn't always easy where to know where to go, but like a lot of things, I feel like people rushed games less back then, so you could really explore, and it wasn't so impossible that you wouldn't know what to do. There were a couple of like actions you had to take that I think were very hard to figure out, and they really didn't give clues that were clear on them. And I have one in particular, and maybe we could steer the discussion this way, just not as a good or a bad, but just sort of as, things we encountered with the game, which I think is always fun to talk about. But there is the parts where you had to shoot your fireball through a specific colored flame to hit a specific colored target was something I did not figure out very easily.
Yeah, you had to do that multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if the first time if I figured that out or not. Because I did look up a few things, like I mentioned.
Yeah. I think
Can't
that I
remember.
might have looked up too, because I don't think Slippy really gives you like very clear advice as to that. And I kind of did try to think outside the box. Like the part I'm thinking of is like there's a flame on a pedestal and it flickers between green, red, and blue. And there's a target. And what I was thinking is like you had because I think the target was also a color, and I was trying to like hit the target when it flickered to that
Right.
color,
Ah,
which I
That's
thought was pretty
logical.
good thinking,
it's
but it was
logical.
like
Yeah.
you had to shoot it through the
True.
flame to hit it. So I mean, like that is just very specific, and I just wish things. And honestly, that wasn't always so easy because you had to get the angle right. You had to sometimes get the timing right. Like
Yeah, it wasn't.
Just
And one,
just just tell people that thing because
yeah.
that's almost like you have to do the skill thing. So like don't have people do the thinking thing then, when it's going to be so hard to figure out anyway. So it's like or give them a very obvious clue. I don't know. Like things like that. And I know we're kind of going back to like saying a bad thing about the game, but like that kind of stuck in my craw a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with these types of games is a very fine line between things, puzzles, or figuring out what to do is challenging or while not being like too obtuse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's one part in particular where you were on like a moving platform
Yeah.
and you had to shoot through the flame. So that part was pretty tricky, even knowing what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That was tough.
But the again, we're talking about negative stuff again, but the part of the game that to me really exemplifies this issue of kind of having an obtuse thing that's you don't really get hints at was at the very end of the game.
The last boss.
The last
No.
boss. No, not the boss.
The boss
Okay, it's
is
not the very
straightforward.
end, but near the end of the game. Where you have to and spoiler warning for those who don't want the puzzle ruined, but where you have to zoom into
Oh, yes.
the light,
The sun and the moon.
Yeah.
The sun and the moon. Yeah,
I looked that up. Obviously, I was like, and at that point, I was at legitimate. That was towards the end of the game, so I was really trying to kind of get it finish the job without looking up anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like talking to people,
Mhm.
trying to get clues. I couldn't get.
Well, the thing that's annoying, and see this, I towards the end because I wasn't sure when we were going to record this, and I didn't have the game for a while because we only have the one copy and it's not available anywhere else, and we like were passing it back and forth. At the very end, I kind of was like using a guide a little bit, and it's like take the special binocular thing. Make sure you buy that before you go back to go to that area. I had already bought it. And so I didn't look up like what you have to do then, but the fact that I had read that you're supposed to bring that kind of made me think to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you
And
do basically you
and
get
like
to this small little platform with nothing on it, so it's not too much to
Yeah.
play with, you know?
But without that clue, I don't know that I would have been able to get
Yeah.
that answer. And it's sort of like, why? Well, there should be some sort of indication that there's something, or just say, use your binoculars. And then, you know, half the people probably wouldn't have even bought it at that point, would have to go all the way back and it'd be really annoying. And it's
Yeah.
just like, but,
Yeah,
you know,
that's lame.
yeah.
I actually bought everything in the shop because it wasn't that much and you basically could get the currency whenever you needed it.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I don't know if you guys realize, but you can haggle with that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah. I like that guy.
Yeah.
He was funny, the shopkeeper.
I think he is a like a favorite merchant in video games.
Oh, we should do a top 10 list.
Top 10 merchants.
There's Resident Evil 4.
Well, that's the other guy I have to think of. And also Resident Evil 8 Village. That guy's pretty good too.
Yeah.
The Duke.
Always Resident Evil with you guys.
So I had one part like that where I kind of got stuck and didn't know what to do. It was in the dark ice mines. So you have to like create these ice platforms. And the way to do it is to look up on the ceiling and shoot these like
Oh yeah, the icicles.
icicles that are sticking out of
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That was not obvious to me at all.
No.
Yeah. That part was hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
and
part
then we
was
had to go
difficult.
up and then like actually jump across like those moving
Yeah, that was hard.
little platforms of ice. Yeah, that was hard too.
Yeah.
The jumping was weird in this game because it was like automatic.
Yeah, there was no jump button. So we could talk about the controls a little bit. It's like A attacks, then you use the C stick to like cycle through your commands essentially, and one set of commands was like the your staff power. Another one was what you would have your companion Tricky do, which was like a little triceratops. And the third was
That was just your items.
Items.
oh your items, yeah. So like but jumping, you basically have to go to the point where you have to jump and the game would automatically jump for you. But that was like I hated that.
That's how Zelda games are too.
Mm.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't like that. So talking about the shop, I mentioned I bought everything. Did you guys get the maps? Because I found those came in handy.
I bought only a couple and I wish I had bought them all because you could get them for
Oh.
like 3 scarabs each.
Well,
Mm,
some of them are
I thought
priced
they
like
were
5
5 or
so
10.
some of
Yeah.
them are 10.
Oh, some of them are 10. Oh, okay. Like
Yeah.
the $5 ones you could get for three then.
But
Or at least
you know, you're limited to how much currency you could hold based on
Yeah.
what size scarab bag you have
Mhm.
at the point in the game. But like anytime you went out and did something and then you came back to that central hub, you were kind of maxed out. So I would just buy something
Yeah.
because I knew I was going to collect more currency again. So more scarabs.
Yeah.
So
The other thing, we were talking about how the game was easy. You would also get like those like free revive things. What were they called? Like Pokemon? Not Pokemon.
Pokemon.
I don't know what they're called. They look like little like rabbits or something.
They look like porgs almost from the new Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah. I didn't use one of them.
Did you ever die?
I used them. I would die like sometimes like there was like those levels with like traps or things shooting. Like I would die in those instances, or like where you had to swim sometimes and like there'd be a spike that you didn't really hit, but it would take energy from you.
Sometimes I died in spots where you like fall. And then
Yeah.
you can't use one in that case.
Oh, yeah. I guess even though I thought the enemies were easy, I did die sometimes. So then they're sort of like ganging up on you or shooting you from like a location you can't see. That was always annoying.
Yeah, well, I guess if you die like when you're in the freezing water or something, you
Right.
Yeah,
can
that too.
use
That
one
too.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, they were called Buffumdads.
Yeah, it was some like yeah, like from that. And apparently, I was watching this YouTube thing where there's like a secret one when you're playing as Crystal in the beginning, where you basically can't die. Like you can get a one of those things, and like, but you can't use it, and it doesn't transfer to Fox once you stop playing as Crystal. So
Oh,
I guess it was just sort of a glitch or something. Not a glitch, but just maybe like
Yeah,
whatever.
A little Easter egg or
you
something.
weren't meant to like actually get it.
Access it,
Yeah.
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 I didn't do it myself. That's what's just something I saw on YouTube. But assuming that's true, that's
So the one item that really wasn't that plentiful in the world, again, you could buy them, were the fireflies.
yes. Those
Those
sections were
were
kind of annoying
so
too.
dumb. I hated them.
Yeah, because like that was a tough section
Yeah,
or
there was a couple of
sections.
parts, at least two, where you need. Well, I guess technically you never needed them, but if you wanted to see and know what you were doing, you needed them. And
Yeah, there was one where you had to carry like an explosive crate
yeah,
or
Yes, that was
barrel.
annoying.
Yeah,
And
because
that
then
one they
if
would
you
run out
fall,
like
yes.
right at the second you're about supposed to throw it. Like it would run out right there. So if you weren't perfect, you were kind of stuck in the dark.
Well, you would have to use another one
Well,
yeah,
yeah, if you had it.
if you had it. Yeah,
I'm saying like you would use all of them up until the point where you had to get to. At least I did. I don't know. I guess I was not traversing too well.
yeah,
I don't
and
know.
then
I
like
thought it
if
was,
you were on a platform and you accidentally like jumped off or fell off,
Hmm.
the barrel would drop and explode. So you would,
Yeah.
yeah, you'd have to do it all over again.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
wouldn't have
there,
enough fireflies.
yeah. There were some other challenging aspects now that we're talking about explosive barrels and whatnot. There was a one where you're like running up like a
Conveyor belt.
it was a conveyor belt, yeah. And then you have like a
Yeah,
bunch of barrels coming at you, and you have to carry this explosive barrel.
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't really have
Oh
a
yeah,
problem
yeah,
with
that
that
was.
part, or it was kind of like a couple of parts within that part.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But I could see that being really
it
annoying
was
to
like
some
it was
people.
tricky, but like it was a good challenge. I felt
Yeah.
like it wasn't frustrating,
Tricky, your helper dinosaur.
pun intended.
So speaking of Tricky, your helper dinosaur, should we talk about some of the other characters in this game?
Yeah,
What would you think about Tricky? He's sort of like an annoying kid sidekick,
Yeah.
but I liked him.
I thought it was a good mechanic having him there.
Yeah, you could have, and you needed him to like breathe fire sometimes on bramble or ice to get rid of it so you could continue going. And
Yeah,
he
or like
could help you in battle if you were able to like configure your fingers in a certain way to give him a command while also fighting bad guys. So like that was cool.
Yeah, I was from what I was reading, I guess people generally found him very annoying. But I didn't really
I
find him that
I
annoying.
Yeah,
didn't
they
find
made
And
him
him.
like
very like, "Hey Fox, I'm gonna
yeah,
help
I know.
you."
Yeah. Whatever. But I
Yeah.
thought he was gonna be like
Look at
lagging
this.
behind and you have to wait for him and stuff like that. Like there was nothing annoying
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I
It
There
kind of
just
was
liked where you didn't have to wait for him and he would just like appear when you needed him. Like it was like that was good because that could get annoying.
there was one time in the walled city
Hmm.
you have to like run around the I don't want to call it a pyramid because that's not the correct term, but it's that that structure that's
Like an Aztec
that
pyramid almost,
that
as opposed
pyramid
to an
type
Egyptian
structure.
pyramid.
I
yeah.
thought it was a pyramid, but
There's a
I know what
specific
you're
name
talking about.
for
Yeah.
it, but yeah, it's yeah, it's it looks like a pyramid, but it's not.
It's more like those Aztec
It
structures as
is, yeah, yeah.
opposed to like Egyptian pyramid. I know what you're talking about because like the Egyptian pyramid, you can't like walk up them. At least I
Sure.
don't
It
think
has a
so.
proper
Like
name
yeah,
that I just don't know at this moment. But anyway, so we have to like run around that thing, and then you end up at one of those like gated lantern things that Tricky needs to breathe fire in.
Right. Yeah.
So I got there and I gave him the command, and then I look down and I see him like running into the wall.
Oh man.
So,
Yeah, something like that never happened to me.
yeah, yeah, it was probably rare, but that no pun intended again. But but that did happen.
You had to make him like stand on a platform a lot of times
yeah, yeah.
to
And then
like
here you
open the
go.
door while you
Dumpty
did something else.
dum.
I could goes, oh, Fox, I'm hungry.
Did you guys get the ball from the shop and play with them?
I did, yeah.
Then he turned purple or something.
Yeah, it changes different colors the more you play with them. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so
Other characters though,
I mean Crystal was cool. Your crew is kind of cool.
yeah, I mean,
the dinosaur. I guess the dinosaurs had the society, and they had like the king and the queen, and then they had the like lazy one that like slept. Like, and then all like yeah, all different types were sort of all of the different communities, I
Tribes,
guess,
yeah.
within the dinosaur world. Like you had the long neck ones was in one part, and then the flying ones were in another part, and you kind of have to deal with all of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. And none of the characters, there's a lot of different characters. None of them really stood out as too
Yeah,
likable, in my opinion.
I
Yeah, I
agree.
mean, you have the Warp Stone is kind of like a character in and of itself. The shopkeeper, you have Tricky. Tricky's
Yeah,
parents are the king and queen.
yeah, they were kind of boring.
Yeah, they were.
But
You
General
know,
Scales.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of a lame bad guy, I feel.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we're ready to move into more like ending material,
Yeah.
I do want to say that it was really lame that you don't really end up having a final showdown with General Scales after he was your main adversary for the entire game.
Yeah, they could have done a little like in those situations. I feel in stories like they'll make you at least fight that guy, and then the big reveal of the
Yeah,
actual big bad guy. But this was sort of
yeah,
like you press the attack button on him, and they play the cinematic where it's revealed that General Scales has really been being used this whole time, and not really the big bad guy.
yeah. That was really lame.
there's a few things we didn't talk too much about. Kind of glossed over the boss battles a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of, honestly, other than the big one at the end, I'm not really remembering them too well.
Yeah,
Can you
here. So
guys
this one,
elaborate a little bit more?
yeah. So one of them I think is pretty memorable. You'll remember when it's like that big dinosaur and you have to electrocute him to stun him and then throw the explosive
Yeah,
barrel thing on him.
Yeah.
the T-Rex.
Yeah, the T-Rex. He would just run around, like, just basically
You
go
step
around the
on the
perimeter of
floor
the.
to activate electricity.
What happened?
You step on something on the floor to
Mm.
activate electricity, and then you have to time it from when he's running through.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're running around like yes,
Yes, yeah,
the halls basically. Yeah, that was
and
an annoying one.
that was annoying, but you're
I mean, a
never
little
in
bit
danger of dying. I feel.
I think I might have, but like you're
Okay.
kind of no. I mean, it wasn't bad though, because it's like you did have to time things properly, and it wasn't like you step on it and electrocutes him to stop him. It was sort of like you had to kind of do it a little bit early because there's a little bit of a delay. So it was
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Then what about the other? There was another one where I'm not
there's
gonna
not.
really do a good job of explaining this one, but it's like you're kind of on rails and it's first
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
and he's kind of like flying and
That was cool. Like the character was cool that you're battling against.
yeah. I thought the battle was fun,
It was,
actually.
yeah. My problem with that is that it came, I think it was directly after another flight sequence where you're on the whatever, that flying dinosaur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that really hard part.
Yeah, and so for that part, I like was mashing the heck out of the button, the shoot button.
Oh yeah,
So like my hand, like and wrist and arm,
your shoulder,
and elbow and
your
shoulder
neck.
was
Finger
like
tendons
was really hurting after that part, like the part before the boss, and then you get into the boss and you have to do that again, and it was just
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
I like physically physically almost couldn't do it.
You know what was annoying, and I think it is considered a boss or a mini boss, the Sharp Claw race. Yeah,
oh
the
yeah,
race. I like that was difficult for me.
I like that. That was another thing that reminded me of Conquer, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. I like
It's
those.
weird. All these games have like these. Not all these games, but like we've been getting like playing a bunch of games where there's like this race sequence for a boss.
Yeah,
Like Pac-Man
Pac-Man.
had that too.
Yeah,
yeah, not too bad.
So yeah, that was cool.
and I just wanted to shout out one puzzle. I think it was like below that pyramid thing in that walled city where you had to like knock the. I guess they were blocks, but they would kind of
Oh.
glide until they reached
Oh yeah, yeah.
something. And if they hit the wall, they would like explode or
Reset.
Those
something,
are
and
cool.
it would reset. Yeah.
It would reset. That was like that you're talking about in the sun and the moon parts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's towards the end. Yeah,
Towards the end. Yeah.
those were those were tough but not impossible. Like
Yeah.
you could
Exactly.
figure those out. So those
Yeah.
were
I
cool.
had fun with those.
Yeah. Yeah, there were similar like I think in the temple where you'd have to like step on that black square and then it would open up the gate and you'd be timed to get to the other side before the gate closed again.
Yeah.
Like so there was that was sort of like a puzzle in and of itself. And then even in the temple they had where you had a it was similar to that where you had to like hit the like rectangular block and there were like already existing blockages where you would use
Yeah.
that to hit into the proper area. So yeah, it definitely it had all of those adventure game qualities, like puzzles and sort of an epic story and magic and physical attacks. Well, it fit all the billing.
Another part I wanted to shout out was when those like little dinosaurs or little critters were trying to steal the eggs.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of annoying, that part. It was very
Oh
they're
yeah,
they're all complaining about the controls. It was hard to like line up your attack to hit those little
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Yeah, something. And even just moving around like the egg pile that was in the middle.
Yeah.
Like you would get like snagged
Yeah. On nothing.
on
yeah.
nothing. Yeah.
You know what was annoying? And like I experienced this, and then I was watching a little bit of a YouTube playthrough after I had played and noticed that they were having issues with this too. But it always, whenever there was those fuel cells, like I would just like circle around it instead of being able to
Oh,
actually go into it. And the
Yeah.
fact that it happened to this person playing on YouTube, I was like, okay, it was not just me then. I don't know, for some reason that item, maybe like the hitbox of it was like not programmed well, and it was so weird.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
yeah, I noticed that too.
I mean, things like that you kind of learn to expect in these older generations of games, though. I mean, GameCube had it was a good system, but like
Oh yeah.
the thing I liked about the controls were that you press the left trigger, and that would reset the camera from right behind you, and it was a lot. It was I don't know. I thought that was a pretty good way to deal with the fact that you can't really move your head, but you can always
Yeah.
get in the right direction. So I thought that was obviously such a huge improvement from the N64 or SNES or well, really N64 3D games.
Yeah, I didn't have any issue with the camera in this game.
Yeah.
Or the controls really. I mean
No, for what
they
it
had it
was.
so that you can like map one of your commands or
Yeah,
items to
the X
was it
button.
the
Why,
X
I think.
button.
Yeah, it was
Or-
X. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So that that was helpful and scrolling through with the C stick was
Yeah,
I
and
think a clever way to
incorporate it.
just to like manage all those different things you can do.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I like how they had it in kind of three separate inventories. They were different colors, so you kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
easy
cool.
to know where you are. Yeah.
Yeah. And I did like, even though like the R Wing stuff did seem thrown in, I kind of did like that they included it because it really harkened back to Star Fox. So you had a lot of like, even though they kind of shoehorned him into this game that had already seemingly wanted to exist or was going to exist without him. I mean, you had him, you had the crew, you had the R Wing, you had the flying sections. And, that was a smart thing to do, I think.
In my opinion, one of the like quote unquote levels should have just been R-Wing. Yeah, maybe you were going to another planet, but then there was this other part in between that you had to do.
Yeah.
Instead of like having a couple of minutes every time you got in there to go to a new
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been cooler.
I mean, but I will say this, and this could segue to like, starting to wrap up is the last boss is you're in the R Wing, and I thought that was pretty cool. That was probably the coolest part of the game was the final boss.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Do we,
But that
are
was
we,
more true.
do we want to get there, or is there other things that you guys wanted to bring up?
A couple of very minor things. I mean, we
Yeah,
talked about like the voice acting. We didn't really talk about the music.
I thought it was
Yeah.
good.
I thought the
Yeah.
music was good too.
It
Oh, you
fit
did? Okay.
fit fit the sections well.
Yeah. I didn't think it was particularly great, but
I'm
I
not
did like
humming
the.
it in my head. Yeah, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
exactly. I like
Yeah,
the store, the Thorntail store song, and the Carzoa Palace one, and they're both kind of very like Arabian Nights kind of sounding, if you will.
yeah, yeah. There's some like the other, I guess, like like the main dinosaur village that you're in, Thorntail Hollow. They have kind of this very kind of like tribal music, which is tribal sounding
Yeah.
music,
Oh,
which
oh,
is fitting.
yes. What about the jingle when you get a new item?
Oh
Dun, dun,
yeah,
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love, and
that
then
was good.
they have the
and he
same
goes,
motion of Fox like
Yeah.
going like yay,
Yeah.
and I like how they have like Crystal do the same exact motion when she gets it in the very beginning sequence.
Yeah. No, that jingle was good, and like it didn't get annoying even though you heard it like 200 times throughout the
Yeah, yeah.
game.
Because at the beginning, it's like any item that just seems like a regular minor thing that you pick up, like a scarab, is
yeah,
like
Yeah,
like
the
the first
first
time
time
you
you get
do it.
any, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was funny. And even like the way he holds it up, and then or not, he holds his hands up, or his hands up, and the item kind of rotates around. That's
yeah,
like very Zelda.
yeah.
And then even like other parts where you like do a puzzle successfully, it plays like a little noise like
Hmm.
doo 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 doo, which is like
Yeah, yeah,
taken
yeah,
directly from Zelda.
yeah. That was good though. That was helpful. I like that.
Yeah, definitely a lot of Zelda influence in this
Yeah,
game.
Okay, that was the only other, I guess, minor thing I did have actually.
yeah. That was a good point though. Yeah. So okay. So spoiler alert again, but the final boss, you are in the R wing, and you face this giant, what you think is a Krazoa spirit head, but it turns out he turns around and it's Andross, the famed villain from the Star Fox series. He's back, and
I,
you have to fight him.
I didn't dig too deep into the lore, but I thought canonically he was killed in Star Fox 64.
I think he is. And then he was basically manipulating um, General Scales to like have him get all of the spirits so
Oh,
that
then he brought himself back to life with the spirits or
yes.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. He and then Crystal was necessary because like she was able to channel the spirits through her. So that's why she was captured. And then at the end when all the spirits they're all like hitting her body and then they're going into that big head which turns out to be Andros like reviving himself.
mm.
And but he looks really cool like with the like the scary primate face and his big scary hands.
Primeape, is he a Pokemon?
Prime Primate. So,
Yeah, no, yeah, that was really cool. I thought
and the boss was like, it was very epic, like that
it's fun.
battle, because it was like you have to shoot like some of things on the Krazoa spirit head, and then he turns around and his hands have like these crystals on them that you have to shoot, and then there's a bunch of different sections,
Yeah,
and it's a tough battle, but one that if you keep plugging along, and you'll eventually get it.
yeah. And then what else happens in that battle?
Yes, and then the ultimate thing is, we're all sad we didn't get to see Falco this game, but there's a part in that battle where you're getting sucked into this giant Andros mouth, and you think it's the end, and he comes in and blasts Andros with a bomb and helps you escape, and then he's dropping bombs throughout the battle so that you could finally beat him. So that was good. Did Fox and Falco have like a falling out in the prior game or something?
I don't think. I mean, I think the only game before this was Star Fox 64.
That was the only. Okay, yeah.
I believe so.
Hmm.
Uh,
Anyway, it was interesting that Falco wasn't in the crew, but then he really, I mean, it really is like Star Wars when Han Solo comes in with the Millennium Falcon and like saves Luke in the in A New Hope. So it's
yeah, it was
space.
cool.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it in the 64 episode that each member kind of helped you in a different way, and Falco was more in the combat, so
Yeah,
maybe
so
there was no place for him until the end there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that was cool.
yeah. It was very cool. So that was it. All right, you guys want to give final thoughts?
Yes.
All right, Pete, why don't you go first?
Yeah, it sounds like you guys had more fun with the game than I did. Um, the game's very long, so I already don't want
does
one.
does everyone have their times?
No,
Oh, because I have mine.
Mine
mine's
was
got
a,
to be like 20 hours, I think.
Yeah, well, mine's. Oh, I have the exact one. It is 22 hours, 8 minutes, and that's before beating Andros, because
Mm.
that's the save file right before it. So yeah, it's over 20 hours this game. All right, Pete. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So yeah, so it's over 20 hours, and so there's a lot to do in this game. A lot of it isn't really that memorable, and like, and you were struggling to remember the bosses even, and I thought that was one of the better parts. Um, I don't know. I started comparing to Conquer, so I'm gonna randomly compare it again to Conquer. Remember? Do you guys remember the part where you had to like collect the cogs and like when
Yeah,
they open up the bridge? I do remember that because I didn't remember, and I was just like kind of refreshing my mind this morning. And like there's a part in Conquer where you have to do that, and like I haven't played that game in a number of years, or in a few years, and I remember like collecting the cogs in Conquer more. I don't know. I just feel like nothing in this game is memorable. And another thing we didn't touch on was like the night and day
oh
uh,
yeah,
aspect
yeah.
of the game,
I thought that was
which
annoying.
it was annoying. It didn't really add that much. Like there was a
Yeah.
couple of parts I guess where they utilized it, but in the night it got really dark, so it was like made the long traversing even more confusing.
yeah, and
And
then it's like the dinosaurs went to sleep, and sometimes you needed to talk to them.
yeah.
Yeah, that was annoying.
So it was just like a lot of stuff that kind of like artificially made it look like a big sophisticated game, and it wasn't. So anyway, having said all that, I wouldn't recommend playing Star Fox Adventures.
All right, I'll go next, and I'll just you look. We said what we had to say about the game. It is fun. It is ambitious in a sense, or maybe it's made to look more ambitious than it actually is. The story's cool. I mean, the story's very cool, which I thought was nice for a GameCube game with the Star Fox character, and I would love to have them make more Star Fox stuff in this vein, but maybe just like a little bit better. And I'd love for Star Fox to get added to the Nintendo MCU along with Super Mario and his whole crew. I think Fox and his crew would be a great addition to the next addition to that. But yeah, I don't know. I would not recommend this game. It's hard to get. It's only on GameCube anyway, and it's a lot of hours for um, not that much fun and a little bit of frustration. So while I did like the game, I wouldn't recommend it. Tom, what about you?
Yeah, so I think I probably liked the game more than you both did. I think it has a lot of fun and unique parts to it, and just like varied up the gameplay. So it's they kept it fresh and not too stale. But there are a lot of issues that are holding it back from really being a good game. I think this is really gonna only appeal to a very specific group of people who are into this very specific genre of game, and a lot of people aren't gonna have fun with this game. So I guess my recommendation generally is that I wouldn't recommend it, unless you happen to fall into that group of people who are really into adventure games or bipedal foxes.
All right, there it is, our episode on Star Fox Adventure. Be sure to check us out on Instagram, X, Twitch, and YouTube at Bros Boss Battles. That's BROS Boss Battles. Our website, brothersandbossbattles.com. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you get this podcast. And check out our next episode, which will be our Bro Down episode of our spin-off categories, where Pac-Man World Repack, Mega Man Legends, and Star Fox Adventures will go up against each other. See you then.